Every time it was like you walk into the loan officer's office and do about a 30 to 60-second pitch and get the door shut on you. And I hope I'm getting better at it. There was a couple of years I think I was horrible at it because I resisted it and I just wanted to get my hands on the
Sure.
the current problem at the local level, and I probably was messing it up more than anything. But
Hello, everyone. This is Sean Kirk with AI TradeLift. What we do is we connect businesses to AI technologies to streamline their operations and basically allow growth with a lot less effort. Standardize things possibly on the front end or back end. But what I have here is I have Ross Black from GetSimpleBox, getsimplebox.com. In the search to find somebody for the next podcast, I came across his website and his story is really quite fascinating. So Ross, I'd like to welcome you onto the podcast. You started this concept of GetSimpleBox when you were in high school. Is that right? Can you tell us the
yeah.
story and how do we all start for people who don't know?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's wonderful just to get a chance to visit about business and technology and like you say, like some of the things that we've overcome and dreams that come to fruition maybe in different ways than I ever imagined. But yeah, so I started the company as a 17-year-old. I was not a good student in high school, and both of my parents were high school dropouts. So my goal was just to could I just make it that little bit further than they did? We had immigrated from Canada to America when I was 13, and I watched my parents just as immigrants. The visa that we had gotten into the country with was to own and operate a small bakery, and we had to prove to the immigration officials that the business would be better as a result of us operating it, and that the community would be better, and that we would increase the number of employees and things like that. And just within the first about a month of us moving and getting settled in, trying to figure out, okay, how do we run this bakery? We all of a sudden found out that the city was going to be ripping up the streets all around our bakery and redoing the water lines and sewer lines and things like that. And so a bakery relies on walk-in daily, people coming in for coffee and a donut and stuff like that. And I just remember seeing my parents just struggle, try to figure out, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to grow this thing when all of a sudden, our customer base is shrinking and it's harder and harder for people to get to us. Even some of the employees were having a hard time getting there. And I just watched them just kind of grind their way through that. And we all worked together through the night, baking things and stuff like that. And I knew in the moment that I would love to have a business. I'd love to be a business owner. And even those challenges, I wouldn't mind taking on challenges like that, but I knew I wanted it to be for something not as difficult as making a dozen donuts and hoping that everyone would come and buy those and then come back the very next day, jumping over the ditch. So to make it to our front door. So as a high school senior, our school, and I think a lot of school districts do this, they have called a senior class project.
Right.
And kind of only rule was you need to do a project, you need to write I think it was an 8-page paper on it and give a presentation on it, and it needs to be somehow showing that you have what it takes to make it in the world, or that somehow your high school education prepared you for what's next. And as I'm kind of reading through the rubric and the rules with my English teacher, she says, and you can take as much time out of class as you need in order to...
That's all you needed.
And as soon as I heard that, and I double checked, much time as we need? And she says, yeah, as long as you're working on your project, that's great. That's the point of this. And so that night, I cooked up this idea, okay, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to make it as big as I possibly can make it so that I can take as much time outside of the classroom for it. And my parents in the building that by this time we had expanded from the bakery to a small restaurant. But when we bought that restaurant, the building had kind of a lean-to on the back of it, kind of a warehouse space. And it was just sitting there kind of doing nothing. And one of our customers at the bakery, he came in every single morning on his way to golf. He was always tanned. He was always, coming back from a vacation or planning his next vacation. And he rolled up in a convertible Mercedes. And he was the kind of guy, it's okay, we want him to come back every day for his donut and coffee. But I would visit with him and just kind of ask, how did you do what you do? Or what, how did you get started in business? Or how is it that you go golf every morning and you swing by here. And he said, mini storage. You've got to get into mini storage. You've got to get into something that's recurring revenue. And so I was like I think I probably would have been 15 years old at the time, but I was already starting to think, okay, there's got to be certain business models that would suit me better or would just be a little more sustainable. And Dennis was his name. Every morning I'd pour his coffee and hand him his donut, and then to ask a few more questions about mini storage. What are some of the problems with it, or what are some of the opportunities? And so I kind of learned a little bit about the industry from that. And when I had the opportunity then to start a business, I was like, I'm gonna do mini storage. I'm gonna do something with a recurring revenue stream. I had saved up some money to buy my dream car, which was a 1968 Ford Mustang Fastback, and drove that back and forth to school and back and forth to this kind of warehouse space to work on converting it. And obviously realized instantly, like, okay, I don't actually have the money that I need to build this business. I got an idea, but not necessarily a plan.
Right.
And really over the course of a couple of months, kind of started to flesh out that plan, and got graph paper, and I'm drawing what this will look like and what supplies and tools I would need and stuff like that. Realized I would need $45,000 to kind of convert part of this warehouse into mini storage space. And so I went to the first bank, the bank that I had my savings account at, and said, hey, I'd like a loan for $45,000. I've got a plan. And they didn't laugh at me right away, but it was about a 60-second loan presentation, and just instantly got kind of rejected.
How old were you then?
17. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but I didn't let that deter me. I was like, okay, well, there's other banks in town. So I went from People's to Interwest. I went over to Interwest Bank, asked the same thing, went to Key Bank, asked the same, and it's every time it was like you walk into the loan officer's office and do about a 30 to 60-second pitch and get the door shut on you. But finally went into US Bank. Peter Cutbill was the banker there, and he didn't laugh at me right away. He listened to my whole presentation, and then he says, well, what do you have? Like, what do you have to work with already? Which that really was the first person that had asked me, like, what resources do I have rather than what do I need? And there's this concept in like relief work, like volunteer work, it's called it's ABCD, asset-based community development. And rather than starting with a need, you start with, well, what assets are there and how can we maximize that rather than necessarily starting with the lack. And so I don't know if he knew that concept of asset-based community development, but it just gave me a bit of a spark, like, okay, well, here we can talk about this, and we can maybe this will move forward. So he asked what I had, and I had a little bit of money saved up, and then I had my Mustang that at that point I had owned for about a year, and it really was a beautiful car. But the car at that time, it was worth, I think, $11,000, and he looked at my plan. I just had the little grid plan, graph paper plan, and he's looking at that, and he kind of folds it in half, or has me like kind of draw a line through it, and says, like, do you have to build it all at once? Like, could you cut it in half? And I was like, yeah, I think I actually could, like I could even just build one side of the hallway. And then he has me do it again. Like, could you do just a quarter? And I was like, I think I actually could. Yeah, that's a good idea, And I had never thought of doing just a portion of it and scaling up from there. So he showed me that. Then he says, hey, you're 17 years old. I cannot do a loan for a 17-year-old, but if you will sell your car, that's going to be about a quarter of the funds that you need. If you sell your car and build a quarter of this business, as soon as you turn 18, then I'll do a loan for double what your car had sold with, or double what you had invested in it. And so sure enough, I did it. I put the car up for sale that day and had a couple of people interested in it. Learned about like the power of multiple offers. So to have two people interested in something made it easier to sell. Yep. And then got to work and built the first quarter of the mini storage, and then turned 18. And Peter did a loan for me. Just did everything he said he would do. Matched it up, and I built the next part. And really, pretty much the time that I graduated high school, we had built the whole thing out and rented it out. And so
then you made a pivot though.
So I was looking
warehouse space.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so I was looking for because we were rented out, and so I was like, well, man, I should find another building to do this in again, and realized like, oh, if your parents don't actually own a building, it's a lot harder to find a building space that would work good for mini storage, and so I had tried a few different spots and just couldn't make the numbers work, and kept coming back to what Peter had talked with me about, kind of scaling it up, and realized that storage containers, that's like the ultimate scaling. Like you can buy one or two at a time and get those put to work, and then add a couple more, and obviously there's some logistics involved and some equipment involved that you maybe want more than two containers to make that side of it make sense. But yeah, we placed an order for 10 containers, and as they came in on 5 trucks, 2 to a truck, and as the first truck rolled in, guy in the community that owned a berry farm was driving by, and he kind of just quick pulled into where we were unloading these containers, and he says, hey, how much do you want for one of those? And we didn't even have a clue like what we were going to sell them for or rent them for or anything like that. Yeah. And he says, hey, just keep it on the truck, send it to me, and we'll figure out how to get it unloaded. And so I had my first customer for the storage business before even unloading all of the containers. Wow. And I think there was probably just a part of it that was just we're kind of building the plane while we fly it, but we're but just caring for our customers and saying like, I don't exactly know how to do it, but I think we can find a way, and if we can, we'll make a business out of it.
Yeah, and I think the thing too on it, Ross, is it's actually brilliant, right? So if you had to go and buy a property, get all the permitting, get it all set up, you're in the hole quite a bit,
Yeah.
Whereas if you could start, so you started with 2, you went to 5, is that, and then what happened after that?
Yeah, so we just kept on ordering and expanding the fleet. We had a regular mini storage, kind of a heated mini storage warehouse, and then got about an acre of property to work from, and started doing the portable storage in our hometown, and then more customers that we had served, in this town. They had maybe a construction project going on one county away, and said, hey, any chance we can get one of these delivered there? And so I would throw it on the truck and drive it down there and visit with the people on site at the Hilton hotel being built or something like that, and get to know them. They'd say, oh, we could use 4 of these, send them on down. And it just kind of grew in large part, I think, just by being willing to get going and take care of one, but then maybe a bit of networking, or just being willing to visit with strangers and find out what they're working on, grow it from there. So,
but then I feel like where are you located? You're in several different locations, right? So,
yeah, that's right. So we've got locations in Washington, Oregon, Arizona, and Southern California at this time.
But you live in Florida.
And I live in Florida. Yeah, my
it's worked out for you. You don't have to be grinding there every day.
I know. I would love to be doing something like this in Florida. I think I see containers all over the place, and there's some good business growth happening here, and a lot of people moving here, and I just feel like we could probably serve really well. So it's on the list of places to expand, but yeah, the business it's been great as far as the ability to serve customers and the ability to work with the team and as a team, and to expand to different locations. But then personally, our family, I've got 4 kids, and my little girl has special needs, and she's got a really complex condition that's affected every joint in her body, and her arms and legs. And when she was born, everything was kind of almost pretzel together. And There's one surgeon in the whole world that focuses on her condition, and he's in Florida. And so we had kind of took her to all different clinics and all different surgeons and specialists, and when we found this it's called the Paley Institute in West Palm Beach. When we found that, we put her on a multi-year wait list, waiting for the chance for her to get treated, and they called one day and said, hey, if you can get her here, we'll do the surgery. And we were living in Washington State, kind of right on the Canadian border, almost as far away as you can get from
are you like Whatcom County? In Whatcom County?
Yeah, Whatcom County. Yeah, in Linden, a little town called Linden. And so yeah, we got the call, and we within like days we were loading everything up and getting her here, and she's had life-changing surgery on her arms, legs, and feet, and she's able to walk, which is incredible, and she's just gained so much mobility and independence, and we call it Jada's miracle. Like it completely changed her life and our life too. And so had the business not been running strong, I never could have done that. I look back on just some of the ways that God's worked in our life and in the business that maybe seemed like roadblocks or challenges or like, oh, we got to find a way to get through this. And looking back, it's like, wow, had we not expanded to multiple locations and had more team members able to do more things and even kind of got the volume up where it's at today, I don't think we would have been able to do this. I would have never known how to lead a team from a distance. I was the one that would load the container on the truck and deliver it myself and visit with the people and try to collect the money right there. And had I not ever broken out of that, I wouldn't have been able to be there for
yeah.
my
And
daughters.
I think also, Ross, is like when we're pressed with a high necessity level to handle something, it's amazing what we can accomplish, right? So I'm happy that your daughter's doing well. When we initially met on the intro call, I said my background's a physical therapist, and you were like, I like physical therapy. Right? So that is my background. But I think what you and your family have been working with your daughter and having to run your company has probably made you a stronger CEO because you have limited time because you're caring for family and you got to be more effective. So what's the day-to-day for you as the CEO of Get Simple Box?
Yeah, you're totally right. Like the time is limited, and I feel like I'm still learning. Going from that, you read like the E-Myth or some of these business books where it's like, hey, you got to go from being the one wearing all the hats to like put on your CEO hat or your leadership hat. So I feel like I'm still learning it. I feel like it's probably been the last 5 years since we moved here that I all of a sudden realized like, oh wow, I have to do that. Like it's not even an option. That's the role I'm in, and that's the role I've got to do well. And I hope I'm getting better at it. There was a couple of years I think I was horrible at it because I resisted it, and I just wanted to get my hands on the current problem at the local level, and I probably was messing it up more than anything. But what it looks like right now that I think has been going quite well. I start my day because I'm on the East Coast. I'm 3 hours ahead of most of my team members, so I start my day and I try to get like a good foundation. For me, that looks like spending some time reading the Bible, doing some prayer, and I go for a run, and I usually try to work my way through a couple chapters of like a business book or like a really good podcast,
right?
And think through, okay, well, how can I apply this personally, and is there anything for my team that I can share from this? And then we do a morning meeting, we call it daily huddle. Every single day online like this. Everybody logs in from wherever they're at, and just this really simple series of questions that we work our way through. It always starts with like high fives and gratefuls or any wins from yesterday. We always have like one kind of quick thought or quote or kind of business principle to share. Today's principle was a bad process will beat a good person every single time. And where have you seen this in your own life? And where do we see this even for our customers maybe, or for our team members? Is there anything we can do to just identify a process that's just not working right, no matter how good and how hard a person is trying to bring that effort there? So we talk that through for a few minutes, just kind of learn together, and it usually brings up something that we could do today to make like a quick improvement, just a small process improvement. And then we talk about just what's a priority for the day and anywhere that a person's stuck, and we just try to kind of set the plan for the day. From that, then I'm just trying to listen for like, where should I probably be a bit of a force multiplier? Like maybe just if I had an hour that I could just work on a project or meet with someone, or is there a resource that I have that I could try to put in someone else's hands? So that kind of sets the agenda for the day. And then I am trying to do as many meetings as possible from a distance for marketing or for operations support. And I love to meet with new team members and just kind of walk them through like our mission, vision, values, and just try to make sure that we start strong together, and get to know them as good as possible, even though it feels weird just being from a distance, not grabbing coffee together. But
Really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I think too, having a problem that's really close to you,
yeah,
like you're right there in the office, it's like on your face. It's so hard to look at it until you get a little distance from it, and then you can look
absolutely.
at it, right? And I think sometimes that, the idea of a remote manager, so to speak, or a remote CEO, or is to be connected without being there.
Yeah,
That improves your supervision, right? Your
yeah,
ability to see things that you don't have to go physically see. You can kind of look, listen, look at metrics, and I do that every day, right? So you have to look at a variety of different things, and you set up a good structure, and then you have a kind of I like to call it like almost like a spidey sense. You kind of have this sensation or feeling like something's going on over there. I
yeah,
better call, or I better look, or something like that. It starts with a little bit of a sensation, but sometimes when you're right there in the grind, it's all going around with you, but you're tunnel vision on this thing right in front of you, and you're missing the rest of it. So I would tell clients over the years, like I worked with physical therapists in private practice for 20 some years, right? But a variety of different other businesses as well, but that's predominant what I did. And once you kind of get to this point where it's set up and it's kind of running, I always tell the owner to get away.
yeah.
Like get out for a week, don't take
So
any calls.
healthy.
Like the building's on fire, right? Just say, hey, you have to get a message that the building's on fire for me to pick up that call.
Yeah,
And then you come back for a couple weeks, you fix whatever blew up, and then you come out for 2, then you come, yeah, I can fix it, come out for 3, then you come in, go out for 4. Once you're out for 4 weeks in a row and you're really not called for 4 weeks, you know that you can run your business from a distance.
yeah,
Sometimes that's the small pulling of the Band-Aid, but it sounds like you just ripped that Band-Aid off.
yeah. And
And
without any thought, like we didn't know were we going to be years of waiting, and we
yeah,
really were a couple of years waiting, but then yeah, instantly it was time to go. And so yeah, there was some kind of challenges with that. And looking back, I wish I would have set things up a little bit differently. But you're so right in saying that hey, start small if possible. Like why not start right now? And hey, I'm gonna take the first half of the day, one day a week.
right.
I'm not gonna my phone's on do not disturb, and I'm not in my email or whatever. I'm just kind of pulling myself away for a bigger picture, a bigger purpose or something like that.
That's right.
And
And when you have people when you go on vacation, nobody bothers you. I mean,
yeah,
probably years ago when you're up north, right? Nobody really
yeah,
bothered you. Maybe you get a one call or two, but you'd be out for a week and nobody calls you.
yeah,
But as soon as you come back, it's like a rapid fire submachine gun with problem, coming at
yeah,
you. So people can usually get more distance than they think they can. They just have to really fine tune that supervision. So
yeah.
do you utilize any kind of technology or things that actually will allow you to monitor metrics and performance and things like that?
Yeah, a bit. Our bookkeeping software, we're getting better at using it. It's getting a little bit better at having like some AI tools to be able to kind of analyze or give an overview of what's going on. And one thing that is fun is we've got 8 different locations. And so being able to compare one to another or compare all of them to one, and it does help you start to see some trends or some patterns, or if something is just seems off, it's like, oh, it's not just like you're saying, you're not just right in it, going off a feeling. You've got the data that actually says, yeah, your sales are down here compared to every other location, and maybe it's price or competitors or maybe there's a teamwork dynamic or just a bad process that we've had it before where it's like, what is going on, the phone is not ringing, only to realize, well, that's because the phone is not connected, or that or there's the email set on do not disturb or something, like, and it can be helpful just to be able to see, like you say, from a distance. You're not going off of feelings, but just
Yeah.
off of
Kind of like customer support from India, like, is the computer turned on?
yes, exactly.
Is it plugged in?
That's right.
Starting with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then now,
We've
where do you see the company here in the next, say, 3 to 5 years? Like what you want
yeah,
to develop?
we've got 8 locations right now. We would love to double that to 16 locations. In part, it just makes sense, as each of our locations are kind of strategic in where they were placed to begin with, or now that we've placed them even by accident, we realize, oh yeah, this is a great place, and within 3-4 hours from that location, we could plant another one. For us, it's I want to make sure that as I'm like really working on taking care of my family and being there for the kids' events and developing a strong marriage and things like that, I want every one of my team members to be able to do the same thing. And so like we chatted about this for drivers, especially because we deliver containers. It's just important to me that our drivers can be home every night. They can be there for dinner or their kids' baseball games or whatever. And that's not always common with truck drivers. A lot of them, they're over the road, long distance, many states away, and a very like uncertain schedule. And so I've done some driving of my own, and I know what it's like to not be able to come home at night or to miss it, a special kind of moment in the kid's life. And if we can try to keep each of our locations within 4 hours of each other, then a driver can always get to another location and get back within their kind of 8 to 10 hour window. Or if they need coverage, if they want to take their kids on a vacation or whatever, a driver from a neighboring yard can come in and help out. And so it's been really a beautiful thing to see these past few years with 8 locations. Everyone's been able to take their vacation times, or there's been hard things in life that have happened where people needed time off for some medical or to care for like a family member or whatever, and just as a group we've been able to be there and support.
But one thing, Ross, is like what you wanted for your life within some parameters. You want that for the staff, right?
Absolutely.
Like you aren't what you do every day. It's your dynamics in a variety of different areas, right? Whether it's family or friends or evenings or whatever hobbies, and if your business and life consumes you, okay, well, sometimes we have to because it's necessary. But then when we get to that other side of that equation, I imagine you have some good customer loyalty with that. No?
I think so. Yeah, our reviews have been excellent over the years, and they continue to be strong. And there's sometimes where we've chatted with people, and they said you should probably actually get some bad reviews because it almost looks fake. You've got too many just 5-star reviews. Great service, love these people or whatever, but not that I'm wishing for that, but yeah, we're always listening, and both listening as a team to our team, how are things going personally. I would never want my kids to be like, I love my dad, but I hate the fact that he works for Simplebox. I would want them to say like, I'd see myself working there in the future, or doing that type of work or working in that type of a team environment. And for each of our team members, I really want the same. Like there's that net promoter score. Would you recommend doing business with this company to a friend or loved one? And I just feel like we should almost just have an internal net promoter score. Would you want your own family member to come and work in this environment? And
I always look at that. Another way I look at the staff is like, if something were to happen and you had to let everybody go for some reason, would you hire everybody back?
Yes.
If you could say yes to that, pretty solid.
Pretty excellent.
If you can't say yes to that, you go, okay, there's somebody I need to work on, right?
Yeah.
But,
we've used quite a bit the Working Genius assessment from Patrick Lencioni and the Table Group, and that's been wonderful. Just to it's not so much about a personality profile as it is like what part of the work kind of makes you come alive, and just you'd almost do it for free. Like you'd almost do it as a volunteer, like you almost can't help but do that. And each person generally has 2 areas that of any kind of a project that they just love to do, and 2 areas that are usually a bigger challenge. And so we do that as an assessment for every one of our team members, and then we just look to see, okay, how can we have them do more of that, and how can we link them up with someone that is maybe strong in their area of weakness, and some of the AI tools like ChatGPT or something like that, you can actually you take that assessment and then you say, okay, looking at these 5 team members, what would be the what parts of the project would be ideal for them to work on, or where should the ideal handoff point be? And it's things that I think I could probably analyze and maybe overanalyze, or like you say, again, just get too close. And it's like, well, I know that this person's tendencies or whatever, and sometimes just looking at the data of how they answer some questions, it really can set them up for success better. And so we're seeing it. Some helpful things, even as far as like kind of HR type tools or teamwork tools and things like that.
It's good to have, whatever kind of assessment tools that we have, but, underneath it all, there's a gut feeling, right?
Yeah.
So if that matches my gut, okay. But sometimes you've been, or I've seen, and I've been party to, right, where this says one thing, but there's so many things that maybe were said in an interview. They go, those two don't match.
Yeah.
They don't fit, right? So, the tools are great. Use them a lot. Definitely hiring tools. But I really think that it's the ability to engage. You're very engaging, Ross. From our initial talk, when it's kind of we do it just for those who don't know. We have a little intro conversation before we actually get somebody into the podcast. And in that intro call, from the very beginning, it was just like boom, clicking and smooth. And if you're that light, that engaging with your team, there's probably a lot of love and admiration for you as a CEO. And so I do see some great things happening for you, for Simplebox in the future. Now, as a technology company and you're looking at trying to grow to that next level, what do you see as a barrier that you might see in getting into other locations? Something that you might want to overcome or bring into the fold in some way?
Yeah, it's marketing. Okay, how do we kind of get our name out there and be more visible to the right people in that
Yeah,
local area?
how do you do it currently? Through Google Ads or?
Yeah, we do. So a lot of work over the years has gone into search engine optimization and blogging and kind of being a voice in the industry and a voice in the community. And I think that that's helped a lot. And we continue to work on that. We do pay-per-click advertising and social media. And then we just try to be like physically present, take part in a lot of like practical events and activities and things that are happening in the community. A lot of times, like with containers, you imagine if you're putting on a marathon or a street, a block party or something like that, a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. It's often the first thing that you want to do is, well, let's get a container there, and that'll be where we stage our security stuff and our first aid stuff and all the barricades and stuff like that. And so we try to be there for things like that, community events. And so, yeah, marketing is a big part of it. And we definitely want to not rush into a new market without really understanding, okay, can we actually connect with the people here and have them know, like, and trust us and kind of become a household name in that area. Operations, I think, is pretty huge for just like logistics, route planning, scheduling with as few interactions back and forth as possible. Getting the right fleet, the right size fleet with a number of rental containers and containers for sale and things like that. Those are probably some of the main ones. And then just keeping an eye on the finances. We want to make sure that we don't like kind of overspend or just want to make sure we show up with the right foundation and the ability to see the right income levels that we need, but also be able to pay our bills in full and on time. And so I think it's just kind of all of it. You kind of want a dashboard that just shows, okay, where are we doing when it comes to revenue and operations and marketing and team development. And then for us, our company, we just feel like a part of our business is to operate for a greater purpose. And there's a ministry component to everything that we do as well. And so
Glad you brought that up. Yeah. It's in your website.
Yeah. And we just want to make sure that right from the start, we don't want to just say, well, hey, when I've made it, when I got $1 million, that's when I'll start sharing, or when I got a little extra time, that's when I'll start volunteering. We want to just start right from the beginning with a plan in place to be able to give and serve and come alongside people in need and ministries in the community and things like that. So, and a part of that, I think, when you talk about like the AI tools or the just some of the technology that we have, we can use some of that just to vet, like, well, what is a good ministry that's happening or that's taking place here, and maybe do some things to kind of amplify what they're already doing, the message that they're already getting out there, and can we share that with our team and our community better? So yeah, the technology has helped a lot, especially these past 5 years. I'd say it's been pretty amazing. So
good. So now you've been at this for 27 years, right? So I did the math. 17 is when you kind of got the itch for that.
Yeah.
And then now, what advice would you give anyone, like a 17-year-old boy that's thinking, I want to do my own thing?
Yeah.
What advice?
Oh my goodness. The idea of I want to do my own thing it's cool, and I feel like there is almost like a kind of a God-given desire to want to be fruitful and be productive and create things. And I think that's awesome. And then as soon as you say like my own thing, that's probably where it's like, oh, watch out for that, because you're probably going to need other people in your life. And you probably need to make sure that it's not just for you, but it's for other people. And so starting to, like, I think looking back when I started, I definitely had quite selfish ambitions and probably like a too inflated view of myself as far as what I could accomplish, how quickly I could accomplish it, how even the quality that I could. And so it only takes kind of getting punched in the face a few times in early on in business to realize like, oh my goodness, I need some good administrative people on my team. I need people that are good with their hands. And so you quickly realize like, okay, surround yourself with really good people. And I think, I've got 4 kids and I just keep coming back to that with them. Like the people you surround you with, they really are going to influence the quality and the direction of your life more than anything else. But so I would be like, okay, who's with you and who are you supporting, and kind of this thing that you want to build, what difference will it make for others aside from making money? That's probably where I would begin. And then this idea of your plan, how big could it get, but also how small could it start? And this
cut it in quarters.
Yeah, absolutely. And what would it look like if it was just small? What would it look like if you just had to get a proof of concept today or even in the next hour, And I bet this is, again, like I just think about some of the things you do with AI, the ability to like, well, hey, let's mock something up, or let's hey, you take this
Like when I had you on the call and we just tested something.
Absolutely. I love that. And I just think that that functionality is so, for a dreamer, innovator, entrepreneur, like it just gives it's fuel, right? And it lets them just see, okay, could this work? What would it look like if it did work? And maybe you get a whole bunch of bad ideas and realize like, hey, let's get rid of all those. But this one here, I think we could work with that.
I'll tell you, for myself personally, one of the best advice I got was from my son. And my son's 30, right? But he was 8. And when he was 8 years old, you know how you'd say things like, I'm never good at math or something like that, or I can't read a spreadsheet or whatever you kind of put out there that you have a disability or an incapability, right? So I was talking to a friend and I said something like, I'm no good at math. And my son goes, Dad? I go, yeah, Stevie. And he goes, you mean up until this moment, you haven't been good at math? And I have walked so many clients off the ledge with just like, up until this moment, leadership is a challenge, right? Up
Absolutely.
until this moment, managing is challenging. And so, there's a belief in a higher calling, bigger purpose. My in-laws, my father-in-law was a school teacher, 6 girls. They were broke all the time. And but yet they saved money for the poor every week.
Yeah.
There was a certain amount of money they would put together for poor people, right?
Yeah.
They were poor people, but there were others in a worse situation. So I think you're as valuable as you help others. You build your mission around helping people move or hold things, but you also build the mission around, helping community through what you have to offer, but also some of the ministries that your company is involved in on like a local and regional and larger levels, right?
Yeah.
That's, I look at a lot of websites, I talk to a lot of guys, and that kind of stuff isn't there, and it should be. So, Ross, I have to tell you, I so much enjoyed you being on this podcast. For those of you that might want to reach out and connect up with Ross here, it's getsimplebox.com is his website. That'd probably be the best way to reach out, unless you have some other handle if you wanted anyone to reach out to you.
Everywhere, Get Simplebox, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever, that's the way. Thank you.
Very much. Thank you. To the future and beyond.